Hi, this is Laura with Red Carpet Report. We're here at the Ted Lasso Season 2 Blue Carpet premiere. So Dani, okay, you've done so much with HBO Max, Netflix. Is there anything that you really want to touch on for your writing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really want to just have, being queer and Latina, I feel like I just want to be able to explore like sci-fi and horror and like things without necessarily it being attached to trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of our stories they typically have to be rooted in trauma, and I think that's important for a certain aspect of getting our stories out, but I don't think that those are the only stories we should be able to tell.
Yeah.
So I just want to be goofy and make, like Friends. I want to make a dumb show with my friends where we're all just like single in the city. I want to make shows where it's like, we're trying to date aliens. I just want to I want to make cool, fun stuff, I just want to have the range that everyone else gets to have.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Hollywood tends to limit when it comes to people of color, women of color. Like, what do you feel like Hollywood needs to do, and what steps are being done, if there are?
Yeah, I definitely think that women of color need to be in executive positions. I think that changes the stories that get told. I think that they just understand it better, so you're not getting these notes about changing your own story and a voice that you relate to so much. So I think having us behind the scenes in directorial positions and executive positions, greenlighting these, and just allowing us to play.
Yeah.
Allowing us to take risks. I feel a lot of other filmmakers and storytellers get to take these wild risks, and we have that in us too. Like, we can be, wild and crazy, and like I said, having sci-fi, horror, whatever fantasy genres, if we're allowed to take those risks. So,
well, you've recently been the face of like the Netflix for the Latinx. I love watching you. Yes, the queer representation for especially Latinx, because it's not often that we see Latinx queer stories.
Totally.
Like so many different types of Afro-Latinx, so many different people. So I know you've been part of the movement. But when you tell your stories, like what is it that we should focus on when it comes to people of color and queer stories, especially for the Latinx community?
Right, yeah. I think it's kind of honestly the same thing, not to be a broken record, but just like not necessarily having to have our stories rooted in trauma.
Yeah.
I think if you want to and that speaks to you, you should be allowed to, but I don't think that should be the only thing that we're allowed to show.
Yeah.
So I think just having fun queer stories. One of my favorites is Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
He just gets to be, queer and a vampire slayer and fun and like in this fantasy world. Yeah. And it's not necessarily about like a hate crime happening to him or something horrible happening to him. So I think just allowing us to get to play in these worlds is really important. And I think us just being queer is going to come out. Us being Latino is going to come out in the story regardless. Yeah. So that to me is representation. Just seeing us on film is representation, and then the rest we can play around with.
Well, we see with Ted Lasso, there's a lot of different people of representation. We have like Dani Rojas, we have like the character Cristo. But I know you're obsessed with Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I know like you're like the ultimate Ted Lasso like fan. So what is it about Ted Lasso that you feel like you connected with the most?
I think his optimism. I feel like it's actually really difficult to be hopeful. A lot of people don't realize that. I think, inspo and inspiration has kind of been, I don't know, Instagram has kind of like ruined it for people in a way where they think of it as like toxic positivity, but it's not that. It's actually a lot. As someone that, is very open with my mental health and my journey, my mental health struggles, it's really difficult to have hope, especially nowadays. It's a skill. And so I think having someone that deals with, he clearly is dealing with his own struggles and possible alcoholism and other things that he's going through in the show, which I'm sure they'll explore more in the second season. But I think people think it's easy to be happy, and it's not. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work, especially nowadays with everything we're dealing with. And so that's what I love, is just like seeing someone who is walking the walk and talking the talk. And, you follow me, so I'm always posting inspirational quotes, and people are like, wow, it must be so easy. And I'm like, actually being hopeful is the hardest thing I've ever done. I've done a lot of things, acting, writing, all of that, and being hopeful is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And so I just really relate to that message in this show.
Yeah, well, I feel like you've been a beacon of positivity, though, for the community, especially for those with mental health issues. That's why I follow. I'm like, I love following you and following your journey. But what's your favorite quote from Ted Lasso that you could say that you...
Oh my gosh, I would have to, I always use the meme, mucho, mucho joy. I'm always using that from Dani, of course. But be a goldfish, of course, too. Be a goldfish.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
So lovely talking to you.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you so much. So there you have it. This has been the Ted Lasso Season 2 Blue Carpet premiere. Please be sure to check out Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus on July 23rd. And also please